Hello and welcome to the first episode of Question Everything and Everyone. I am honored to have Mia as the very first guest, as she has seen my full journey from Starbucks barista to UX practitioner and YouTube show host. Enough about me though. Mia Marzullo is a risk professional, EQ coach, co-founder of Shorty Out Front Evolution, and chief muse at Dutchmore Living. Wow, what an epic introduction. Now, I aspire to have a similar introduction one day. I believe my higher power has this in his plans. I've been communicating with him a little more now than I have in a while, and I'm at peace. I'm at peace again. So without further ado, let's get into these questions.
All right.
Now, speaking of higher power, what is your relationship status with your higher power? And have you always been on good terms?
You're just going to jump right in.
Jump right in.
Right in. Okay. Well, you know, relationship with source, higher power, God, you know, whatever one calls their God. It's a relationship like any other. It ebbs and flows, right? I mean, there's times when you're really tight with the big G, and then there's times that you're like, do you even know I exist? Right. And so, and I've had that, you know, there are some people who, you know, from the moment they meet their God, you know, find God, that they are like this, like thick as thieves and, you know, all day and all night, you know. Yeah. Not me. I ebb and flow. I'm like, you know, I'm really not happy with you right now. Or I can't imagine that this is a thing. Like, you want me to deal with what? You want me to do what? But right now, I would have to say that I am coming out of what I would term the dark night of my soul. Ooh. And I have to give props, because I know that if it weren't for the big guy, I probably would have had a harder time with that. So we are on really, really great terms right now, but no, we haven't always been there, because there have been times that I've, you know, gone the wrong way or taken a turn that I probably shouldn't have. And like any good parent, he made sure that I learned my lesson from it. But he didn't necessarily leave me there to wither away on the vine by myself either. But right now we're in pretty good, we're in a pretty good spot.
All right, so no relationship coach needed for the big guy.
Yeah, no, on for that relationship, I got that. I got faith, I got that. I'm full up. Got that.
Now, I did just kind of dive into the question, so let's scale it back a little bit. I feel like there was something you needed to say before we jumped in.
No, hey, I'll tell you, this is your show. We're rolling with it. But, you know, it's like you came out with your big guns and just, you know, mowed me down with the water gun, like automatically. So, hey, Mia, how are you and God getting along these days? You know, anything you want to share, like, you know, if you had to confess anything of late, or, you know, you just all in.
It's straight into the confession booth. It's just,
yeah, exactly.
Here's the spot. You're on it.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father G-Wiz. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't wear the right shirt.
You just need a collar for that. Yeah.
Oh man, this is great. So I can relate to that. Coming out of that dark moment, I have had my moments where it's been harder to approach him and harder to be on good terms with him. And I think a lot of it sometimes is, you know, just in our heads about how we think about our relationship with him. And, you know, our minds can't conceive things of spiritual nature. So when we try to put God in a box, when we try to figure him out and make him out to be something that we think he should be, that's where we, or at least for me, that's where I get the problems. That's where I start running into issues. So it's nice to know that you're on good terms now. Me too. I'm getting there anyway. Better terms than it used to be. Not as good as it once was, but you know, that's life. The only thing that's constant is change.
Right.
So we're always changing. We're always evolving. We're always questioning.
Always.
Now, with that said, I have another question.
Okay.
What prompted you to start questioning everything? And what
Oh,
changed when you did?
oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm gonna let this out of the box. So
Oh,
I was years ago, about 7, 8 years ago, I was in a long-term relationship. And at that point, I think it was maybe 5 or 6 years deep and we had gone to a funeral. And I think it was a coworker of his or something, and we'd gone and understand we both came from very Catholic Lutheran roots, right? So a lot of tradition, a lot of formality to services such as weddings, funerals, and Easter, and all things celebratory, right? So at the end of the service, the clergyman did his sales pitch. The whole fire and brimstone, act now to avoid hell later, right? So that kind of thing. And I remember that my SO and I we kind of looked at each other like, because we'd never seen anything like that, either one of us had ever seen anything like that. So we kind of looked at each other like, it was like, like partially uncomfortable, partially kind of like, what the heck's happening here? Like, it was just really kind of weird.
yeah, right.
And so, so when we left the service, I think he asked somebody, "Hey, what was that?" Oh, that's a thing. It's kind of like a sales pitch, right? So it's come join the church. Sign up, get Jesus today, that kind of a thing. And so it was just odd to us. It wasn't that was wrong, or it wasn't trying to really judge it or anything. It was just foreign to us.
Hmm.
So he kind of like, yeah, I didn't like it. I'm like, yeah, it's not for me, but whatever. So we get in the car, and it became a conversation, and it was like the more he talked about it, the madder he got about it. And I don't remember exactly how I said it, but I said something along the lines of, well, I think of it like, when you already own a product and somebody tries to sell it to you again, you don't have to really listen to the message because you already bought the goods, right? So, and I remember he said, yeah, but I don't know that's the case. And I thought he was questioning my analogy, but what he was saying to me was, I don't know that I've been sold. And I was like, well, what are you saying? You're saying that, you're having a crisis of faith, or, because we all go through that, right? We just talked about how, it ebbs and flows.
Right.
And he said, no, I don't know that it matters to me. I don't know that I care. And I don't know that God matters to me. And I was really kind of taken back.
Wow.
Because for me, that's a core foundational value, right? So I liken it to like the structure of your house. So you've got your foundation, you've got your framework. Well, if you and your SO come home and the house is on fire, you want to know that when you pick up the phone to dial the emergency responders, you're both pressing the same buttons, right? You're calling the same, right? You're calling the same emergency response team. And I realized that we weren't on the same page about that.
Ooh.
And it was so weird to me because I had always thought, McGregor, I'm not a religious person, but I'm very spiritually, based. And I don't know how I missed that in the connection, because I would never have picked someone who didn't align with me. Now, could you be Baptist and I be Catholic? Absolutely. I've dated Jewish men before. I just need to be with somebody who believes in something bigger than himself. And this person was telling me he didn't know that was important to him. And so at that moment, I started going, how did I miss that? Right. And I thought, well, I'm not going to make a thing of this. Maybe it's not a thing. Maybe it's just a crisis of faith. But as the next couple of years went on, I started to really go, okay, what else did I miss? I missed that. What about the other 4 or 5 core foundational values I have? Are we aligned there? And I started to realize that we were not equally yoked. And then secondly, I realized that throughout the course of that relationship, up until about 2 or 3 years, at the end, I had absolutely ignored my spiritual growth. And I had not had a conversation with God in almost a decade. And so for me, it was one, very eye-opening, but at the same time, it scared me a little bit because I thought, okay, who am I? What is happening here? Right? I was kind of living in this fog. And when I go through kind of that personal introspective evaluation, I pack up everything in my heart and I move it all upstairs, and I live here in my head for some time because I've got to go into self-preservation mode. So I entered my dark night of the soul about 7 years ago, and I stayed there and lived up here until I could unpack not just that relationship and what happened with that, but everything that led me up to picking someone who did not share my value system and with whom I was not equally yoked. And that's a lot. That is a lot to deal with. And it tells you that I wasn't present and I wasn't myself in that relationship. And that was a whole lot to deal with. But yeah, it was pretty tough, right?
Yeah.
Pretty tough. So
I've been there with the unequally yoked. That's huge. I don't think people realize, especially not in these days. Dating is not the same in 2020. Dating hasn't been the same in a long time.
Oh my gosh.
Relationships. What happened to courtship? It just all out the window. And it's really hard to be equally yoked because of the separation of church and everything else.
Yeah.
Or spiritual principles. I won't even say church because, religion is for those of us that are afraid to go to hell, and spirituality is for those of us that have been there.
I've lived it. I've written the book. I'm really hopeful that I get it out of jail free card. But no, you're right. Right. So, I mean, I do think that I do think that separation hurts us. But when I say equally yoked, I think even if you're not a religious person, you can look at it from a compatibility perspective, right? And you can look at it and say, are my core values and belief systems in line with this person's core values and belief systems? And if the answer is no, well, then you got a problem. And I didn't do that homework, I guess. I mean, I guess, like I said, we both had similar backgrounds and we were both raised in very similar environments. And I guess I just assumed maybe I thought we'd had the conversation, because I have actually turned down other relationships because the man that approached me said, oh, I don't believe in God, or I'm agnostic, or, it doesn't matter to me. That doesn't work for me. Right. Sorry. I need somebody who believes in something bigger than himself, because me, even when you're screwing up, that, where you got to, what the life raft looks like, and you better get in it in order to straighten out. Right.
Yes.
Right? So that's not to say that this person was a bad person or had bad moral character or anything like that. It just told me that we were approaching the relationship from two very different angles, and that maybe I wasn't being truthful with myself and I wasn't being true to myself because I was busy trying to put myself in a container that I didn't fit in.
Ooh, touching on a soft spot here, that fitting in the box you weren't made for. And how much of yourself do you have to cut off to do that, right? You did mention that you had to go into that dark place. You had to pack everything up here and take it up here.
Up here. Mm-hmm.
And those tinglies that you get when you meet someone?
Yeah.
They say that's common sense leaving the body.
Oh, really? Is that what that is?
Yeah. I say it's a little bit of common sense leaving the body so that you can pack up your heart and put it up there.
Yeah.
And go into that place so that you can have what you essentially, what it boils down to, what do I want in this moment? And self-will is a lot of times what I find that I'm wrapped up in when I'm going and packing my heart up and putting it in my mind.
Yeah.
And that's characterized by chaos, conflict, and confusion.
Mm,
And if I have chaos, conflict, and confusion in my life, it's because my will is not lining up with God's will.
yeah.
I mean,
That's a good way to put it. And I think that what I've learned is that when he keeps stirring the pot of chaos, it's because either the situation's not right, the timing's not right, or somebody in the relationship or situation is not acting right.
yes, yes. So, have you had your aha moment? And if so, what was it? I feel like we've answered this, but I want to mull a little deeper in there.
Well, no. So actually, my aha moment finally came, actually it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So,
Oh,
so I've been going through all this, right? And unpacking all this. And I had a couple other things that happened at the end of last year and the beginning of this year that made me go, the things that make you go, huh? My stuff makes me go, huh? So I had some of that, right? So, and I finally just said, okay, I got to quiet my brain.
Mhm.
I really have to figure out what to do to quiet the brain. And I have to rebuild the body. I have to get rid of this cortisol problem I had and pulsing through my veins, and deal with a couple of other, like, what I like to refer to as interesting things for a 52-year-old woman to have to deal with. But anyway, so I'm like, okay,
Which 52-year-old are you talking about?
that would be this one.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Doubling her
Yeah.
age over here.
You're so funny. But anyway, so I'm like, because my mind it's like it doesn't shut off, right? So you're talking to me here and I'm going, okay, I got like 4 things in this room that need to be moved, or else I'm probably going to have to reorganize it 6 times until I'm happy with it, right? So, but for me, I had to figure out what to do with that. And so, I'm big in coaching, right? I love professional coaching.
Mm-hmm.
But I really love Jay Shetty, right? Jay Shetty and the guys at Mind Valley. So I tuned into a couple of the master class coaches at Mind Valley, and one recently, Christy Marie Sheldon, she did a segment on finding your purpose, essentially, right? So finding that thing that you want to do with your life. And she didn't take it from the do what you love angle, right? Oh, do what you love and the money will follow. She said, do what you're good at. Do what you're naturally good at, right? She said the one thing that we do as people is that we, often try to put ourselves in this, work must be hard. And I need to get, professional bruises as I climb the ladder and all of that. And she said, what are you good at? What are you naturally gifted at? Right. And she said, you would know what those things are because people will point them out to you. What are the things that people say to you, Mia, you're good at this, or Mia, you're a great insert here, right? And so for me, that answer was writer, coach,
Mm-hmm.
and there was one more, and I can't remember what it was. But so I'm writing it down, right? I'm writing it down, and then organizer, right? So great organizer. And she said, and then look at the things that you love to do. What do you love? So, I love to write. And I love fashion and lifestyle and art. And I'm not an artist. I wish I was. This thing behind me, not mine, but my daughter's. She's the artist, not me. I love art. I love lifestyle. I love art history. I love all of that. But then there's this component of me that likes to mitigate risk. I'm good at mitigating risk. And so she said, so you take what you're good at and you apply it to the things that you love. Well, that's what you should be doing. So I started looking at what I'm good at. I started looking at my day job and I started going, okay, now it makes sense. These are the things that I'm good at. These are the things I love. If I focus on these things, then I should get a happiness trigger, right?
Yes.
And so, like I said, that was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And since I started to apply that thought process, I have found more joy in my day. You know, I like my job, but now I'm getting to a point where I kind of love my job. And I'm looking at how I can take my natural gifts and put them into my own, my own businesses, right? So Shorty and Dutch and Precipice, right? So how do I build for the future beyond corporate America, right? When it's time for me to walk away from corporate America. And I have never been more clear on what that looks like and how to make that happen, because she gave me permission to use my God-given talents.
Wow.
And, she said, he doesn't give you things that Source doesn't give you things that they don't want you to use. Right. So,
right.
Source didn't make me 5'11", and, ready, runway ready. Right.
Right.
But I can write about fashion. I can write about lifestyle. I can work with my daughter to design a clothing line for women who are under tall and,
Yeah.
need a,
The Shorties Out Front.
Shorties Out Front. Exactly. So that made it okay for me. And so that was my aha moment. You're supposed to do what you're good at, what you're naturally gifted at. Because if you naturally are gifted at it, it's probably something you love or something you can learn to love.
Right. And you don't have to work as hard. It doesn't,
right.
It's not work anymore because it's natural.
It's natural.
There's no learning curve. It's just, if any learning curve, it's just learning how to be more of you.
Right. Exactly. Look, and that I think is the hardest thing for all of us, right? Unpacking that personality and saying, well, this is who I am and this is what you get. I mean, we often run around wearing masks because we really are afraid of showing anybody who we really are because they may not like us.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's what I'm dealing with right now. And it's crazy to say that I'm over here hosting a show, but I'm human and I'm still trying to comfortably unpack exactly who I am. I find myself, and what you're telling me now is giving me a lot of insight into what I'm dealing with right now in my work life. It's how much of it do I unpack in the corporate world? And how do I apply who I am genuinely to their box without either outshining, as I tend to do, I can't control the shine, not trying to, it's just who I am.
Yeah.
But it comes across wrong. And so I'm dealing with an issue where I shined a little too hard and then they told me to scale it back and then I scaled back a little too far. Life is one big pendulum. Yeah. We're always swinging from one extreme to the other. And, eventually we come to this little middle point where it's balance.
Yeah.
Speaking of balance, how can you comfortably juggle all of the endeavors that you are currently, how do you juggle all of this along with your day job? So you've got Shorty Out Front with gal pal Sherry. Hi, Sherry. You've got Dutch More Living with your daughter, May. Your volunteerism with DRII and other charitable stuff. And now you're planning on launching a boutique project risk coaching platform in late 2021. What the heck, girl? Like, how do you have time for all of this and still have time for some sleep and fun?
Well, like I said, so, because I'd gone through this self-discovery period, right?
Yeah.
I have more energy than I've had in a long time. Now, I'm not gonna lie. There's nights I crash and burn, but it's a good crash and burn because that means I got a lot done that day.
It's an accomplished crash and burn.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I believe in feeding the right beast. So what I mean by that is I don't work on all of it at the same time. I let the creative inspiration flow through me. And so if I need to work on Dutch, I'm going to go work on Dutch. Like I worked on May, and I spent May, June, and part of July getting Dutch ready and launched. And we worked with a really great designer, Marcos, I won't give his last name away, over at Bluehost. And he did an amazing job, dutchmorelife.com. I'm just going to throw it out there. So it's our blog platform, right? So, and he did an amazing job. And so May and I spent like all summer writing. We're writing, she'd write articles, I'd edit them, and it was like boom, 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 post, post, post. And then so come like end of July, 1st of August, I'm like, I'm tired. I don't want to do that anymore. And so, but we had written so much content that we could take the summer off, the rest of the summer off and not really have to think about it. And then we talked this weekend. I said, it's time. But she's like, yeah, I know. And so we know we're going to have to, turn up the squirrel again and start, writing. And then, the product line will get launched either later this year, 1st of next. That's great. But Sherry and I have been working on Shorty Out Front for, 5 years now. And
Wow.
We have just, I think, hit on what we think will be the right thing to monetize it. And it brings together all of those things that are my sweet spot, which is risk and preparedness, her sweet spot that is real estate, right? And shelter, right?
Yeah.
To help create Sophie Sanctuary and all the things that go along with that. So I believe that everything has its natural timing. And the precipice stuff, when we locked down earlier this year, I sat out on my patio and just, because it was a pandemic and because it spoke to that technical risk side of, that scientific side of my mind, I sat there and I busted out the business plan and and all the slides and all the options for coaching, right? And just tucked it away because I said, I need this, but it's not time, but it's done. So I believe in feeding the beast that barks the loudest. And so for me, if I have too many irons in the fire, I won't put my time in the right thing. But if I wait till the thing comes knocking, that's the thing that I spend the time on. Because again, it's not, this is not about me wanting to, quit my job or travel across the globe instead of being, in an 8 to 5 job all, for the rest of my life. It just means I'm setting the foundation for things. And so when it's time and when I'm ready, they can launch and they can be self-sustaining. So it's just understanding who you are and where you are and not trying to, burn your fingertips, but also keep the fan in the flame so that it does burn brightly for a lot longer.
Well, that's good. That's really good. Which beast do you feed the most? That's like that. There's 2 wolves that live inside of us.
Oh yeah.
One is good and one's evil. And
yeah.
Which one survives?
Right.
The one that you feed the most.
Exactly. Well, I mean, because that's the other thing. I could be sitting around doing nothing. I think 90% of the reason why people get themselves in trouble and they do things that they probably shouldn't. They do things they regret. It's because they don't have a passion for something that is good. You know what I mean? They don't have a passion for something that will elevate their spirit or their soul while helping other people do the same. Yeah. And I think when people get bored or they get antsy, they look for things that aren't necessarily healthy outlets because they haven't figured out how to channel that energy positively.
The idle mind is the enemy's playground.
Yeah.
And the universe cannot return void. There can't be a removal of a positive and not be filled with a negative.
That's right.
And same way, it works both ways.
Right.
If I remove a negative out of my life, that creates a void. And if I don't find a positive to put that in, there's going to be more negative.
Yeah.
But there's never nothing. There's never, it's like in life, you're either moving up or you're moving down. There's no coasting. You may coast for just a second before you start rolling backwards.
Right.
And I found that a lot in my life. Now, I hear a lot of talk of, it sounds like emotional intelligence and authenticity. And in fact, it sounds like you said that your life charter demands it of you. Now, what does that mean to you and why is it important? And do you always hit the mark or do you have your off days?
Oh, I think everybody has their off days because you wouldn't be human if you didn't. And I've got a couple of, things going on, some projects and efforts and joint ventures that can be kind of, stressful. Right. And so sometimes, so sometimes you get into verbal scuffs with people that you don't mean to, but it happens. But emotional intelligence is, did you ever see the movie Life of the Party? I think it was a Melissa McCarthy movie where she goes back to school and she's in college with her daughter. Okay.
I missed this one. No,
so I think it's called Life of the Party. And so, so she gets caught dating a younger man who happens to be the son of her, I'm giving it away, son of her ex-husband's girlfriend, right? And so there's this awkward scene in the restaurant with Melissa and a bunch of her friends, and her ex-husband walks in with his new wife to be, and then the young son is in question, right? And somebody at the table's just talking about I don't know, like asking the guy, how are you, how's it going? And one of the characters goes, read the room, Phil, read the room. Right. It's like one of my all-time favorite scenes. Right.
Yeah.
And she read the room. And so being emotionally intelligent is the ability to read the room. Right. And some of us are so blind to the room that when we walk in, we've got our laptop and we're checking our phone, like, oh, when's my next meeting? When's my next Zoom call? Oh, I got to get my nails done. Right. And you have absolutely missed the unspoken negativity or the unrecognized competition between people in the room. I'm really good at reading the room and figuring out what the relationship dynamic is between just about everyone I have an interaction with. I'm really good at that. And unfortunately for some people in my life, I was able to say, you know what? There is something really, really not right here going on between these two. And I ain't having it. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's in both personal and then in professional, you can read the room and go, okay, that person is overspent and underqualified. Right. So it's that, and not necessarily reading the room to call those things out, but to figure out how you fit into the dynamic, right? How you can help that person who may need some, may need a champion or need some help, how you need to either improve your relationship and your interaction with the senior executive who's burning a hole through your skin, right? Yeah. Or, the colleague that's standing over you wanting to dump coffee on you because, the guy she's interested in is apparently interested in you and she's not, so all those crazy things that some people overlook. To me, it's like watching a sitcom. I got this. I know what's going to happen at the end, right? I know the punchline. Being emotionally intelligent is really understanding all of the players and figuring out what your dynamic is with each of those people and how you can either negatively influence it or positively lift it so that it becomes a win-win for everyone.
Absolutely. And I think just hearing that, I learned emotional intelligence here in the last year, or at least what it was called. I didn't understand what I was doing. Mm-hmm. When I learned there was a name for it, and the cute little acronym was EQ, like IQ.
EQ. Well, and you know what? So there's a saying that says the smartest person in the room is the one who doesn't speak.
Yes.
And that's because that person is probably emotionally intelligent. That person is reading the room to figure out who is actually the intellectually most intelligent person in the room, who the real, true, silent leaders are versus the blowhards who get up and talk ad nauseum about how wonderful they are and blah, 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 blah,
Yeah,
who
they're
are
busy reading the room.
the false leaders, right?
Yeah.
So the real, so you, that saying, the smartest person in the room is usually the one who doesn't speak. It's because they're trying to figure out what's important to everybody else who does.
Yes. Yes. Because then they have the upper hand, and these people don't know it because they
Right.
can actually control the room based on what their observations were.
Right.
And they don't even
And
realize.
the other thing about being emotionally intelligent is that when someone approaches you and says, starts downloading their story about, some injustice or some frustration that they're having, an emotionally intelligent person can say, well, do you want this feedback? I mean, you're asking me my opinion, so that's suggesting that you want my feedback. Are you sure you want this feedback? And you ask permission to give it, because then that prepares the person for the fact that you're probably going to tell them some things they don't want to hear. Right.
And you need
and
to
if they say, well, no, yeah, okay, well then, when you're ready to talk about it, come approach me. Otherwise, if you're not going to be open-minded to what I might have to say about it, then I can't help you. Right. And so being emotionally intelligent is also making sure that you don't stick your foot in it. Just because you've got an opinion doesn't mean that you should share it.
Right.
So
what is it? It's better to be silent and be thought wise, or silent and thought a fool, than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
I earned my emotional intelligence came from the restaurant industry and serving. So there was a lot of, if my income depends on how I am with these people and how I interact with them, then I need to be able to read this table in a matter of 60 seconds. As I walk up and start having an interaction, I need to read where my energy level needs to be to maximize the tip.
Right.
And so when you talk about it, it didn't dawn on me until I switched over to corporate that a lot of people that enter into the corporate space don't have that opportunity. They have to learn EQ in a space
hard
with
way.
people, that have never, and that's if they ever take that challenge and step up to it,
Right.
A lot of people don't, like you said, you have to ask if they're wanting that feedback, because they say they want it, but I don't know if they can handle it. But there's different levels. And I don't know if you've read Emotional Intelligence 2.0.
I have.
Yeah, they have the little quizzes in there for you to test yourself. And I got a pretty high score the first time I took it. And I was like, okay, maybe I do know what I'm talking about. And, just having the recovery background, that's basically what they teach you is emotional intelligence. They just didn't call it that.
Right.
So I really like that topic. And I love what you're doing. And the fact that you're not only living for yourself, but you're turning around and helping other shorties, because you weren't blessed with the 5'11", but
I wasn't. No.
in so many other areas that can help so many other people. And that's where the true beauty in life comes from, is not when you get to the top celebrating it, but when you get to a point where you can turn around and see, is there anyone else that can't get here that I can use my experience to bring up? That's beautiful.
Well,
now, thanks. No problem. Sorry.
I mean, I hadn't really thought about it that way. I just, when I see somebody in need, or I think somebody could use some help, I try to offer it. I'm not perfect, and I don't always, again, hit the mark, but if I could just help one person, change something in their life, then I've done something right.
That reminds me, that's really good. Man, you're giving me all the little good feels up in here.
Well, see, my work here is done.
All right, that was a good show.
It's a great show. Tune in next time.
Right? So I believe that we all have a mantra, like a quote saying that changes our lives forever.
Yeah.
Mine was, do one thing every day that scares you. That was Eleanor Roosevelt. And it helped me face the fear head on.
Yeah.
And take my life to new heights consistently. Now, with that said, is there a question, quote, or saying that has stuck with you and helped you ever since the first time you heard it?
Yeah, I've got two.
Yes.
So one of them is and you know, she's famous to me, but and you may remember her, but a woman by the name of Becky Van Meter, who I call my work mom, right? So you know, she and I worked together, and she actually reported to me for a while. But I always looked up to Becky. Becky is what I lovingly refer to Becky as my role model in the Bad Girls for Jesus club. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So everybody that thinks that Jesus runs with, you know, straight laced, you know, good girls all day long. No. If he wants to get his message out, he looks to us Bad Girls for Jesus, because, you know, he knows we're going to put it out there. So we're going to put the message out.
Yeah.
So Becky, I had gone to Becky because I was, you know, presented with this very challenging situation, and was presented with someone who too was in the middle of the dark night of a soul situation. But I don't know that this person knew that that's what they were going through. And so it was kind of, you can't have that conversation with somebody who doesn't know that that's what they're going through. And I was getting so frustrated with it. And I said to Becky, I said, I don't understand this. Why would God want me to take this on? Why would God want to put me in this middle of this situation where I know I'm going to get hurt? I know I'm going to get wronged. I know I'm going to get discarded in the end. Why would God plant me in this spot to watch me hurt and watch me fall apart? And she looked at me with the straightest face she could ever give me. She said, because it's not about you, dummy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I love that.
And so I really like to leave off the dummy part, but I think she had said it to me enough and I wasn't getting it. And she was like, do I need to shake you? She said, because it's not about you. Wow. Right?
Yeah.
So sometimes we do things and it might feel like we're taking the beating of a lifetime, or that somebody has come into your life just purposely to take your heart out and throw it on the ground and crush it. Right. And it's like, you know, that this person is going to do this. This person is going to hurt me. This person is going to betray me. Right. It's kind of like, think about it. It's kind of like Jesus and Judas.
I was just about to say that. Yes.
Right. Think about it. Jesus knew that Judas was going to betray him. He called it. He said, one of y'all is going to betray me. And they all went, no, dude, look, I'm your circle of trust, Jay, right?
You trust me. Yeah.
And he knew. He loved Judas anyway. Mm-hmm. Right? He loved him anyway. And then what was the ultimate thing? Judas was so distraught about what he did. He didn't live to spend the spoils of his betrayal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's what Becky was saying to me. What she was saying to me is, yes, this is going to suck. This is going to hurt. You may not come out of this the same person. You may not ever speak to that person again once they perform the act of the final ultimate betrayal. You may walk away and never return. But understand, it was never about you.
Right.
Right. But then the other saying I also like is, be the kind of woman who, when her feet hit the floor, the devil says, oh crap, she's up.
Yeah, I love it when you say that one. Just, you remind me of that kind of woman. Like, oh hell.
Yeah.
Here she comes. I
give him a run for his money all day, every day. I do. And I get up and get my day started, and I meditate. And then at night I meditate, and, I remind the big guy upstairs, hey, by the way, that a-hole still has a hold of these people. I would really like you to get on that for me, because I'm going to chase him all day till he lets him go. So that's why that one, and it hangs in my closet. But be the kind of woman that when her feet hit the floor, the devil goes, oh crap, she's up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. it's really something to say that, because when you're in opposition to the principalities and the powers that rule this world right now, which are the powers of darkness, because they just have that limited time, so they're gonna go as hard as they can right now.
Sure.
To know that being that kind of person, that when you place your feet on the ground, you give the devil a run for his money, comes with a whole lot of struggle. But that has to come with a whole lot more faith to know that you can walk through that struggle consistently. And you did say you had a deep faith, and that shows.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have been tested this year with their faith, right? COVID has tested all of us for, relationships. I mean, look at how many divorces people are like, yeah, I'm done, I'm out, I can't. Like, what worked was that we didn't have to look at each other. We have to look at each other, right? So there's divorces, there's death, there's loss, there's bankruptcy. I mean, look at the things, look at what it's doing to our country, right? Look at what it's done to our political theater here just in the US. And I have had people say, how can you stand resolute and not let these things impact you? I was built for this. I can't explain it. Like, I was built to lead in a time like this. I was built to sustain the winds of a time like this. I can't explain it, but except to say that when he was ready, he came back and, flipped me in the head and said, I think it's time we move back downstairs. So let's deal with all the crap up here. Let's deal with this. Let's get past it. Let's get some forgiveness and forgetfulness and some healing in place. Let's do that, because what the world needs now is a little bit more of what you've got going on in here. And if I can't get you to open that up and let it out, I'm not going to be able to use you the way I want to.
Man,
and so when that happened, right, the prince of ultimate suck came for me.
Oh yeah.
And he took things away from me. He did. He took things that mean something to me. He took things, and I just reminded him that Shorty don't play, and at some point I would have my justice. So, but you have to. I mean, it's hard. It doesn't mean that there aren't days that I'll remind you, I don't want to do this. I'll remind you that situation destroyed my heart. No, that situation didn't destroy your heart. That's not the one. So this will be okay. But it's hard. But
it is.
I get confirmation daily that I'm on the right path, and that the relationships that matter to me are being healed. The situations that are important to me will continue to be important to me and will evolve to a higher level importance. And, Sherry says, I've never seen you so content. I've never seen you so resolute in but this is the old Mia. That's the thing that people who haven't seen me historically, before the Dark Knight period, people don't know this is me. This is who I am. And so I think that 7-year journey of going into the underworld and coming out with a new perspective has been incredibly transformative for me. So it took me back to who I really am. I'm a badass.
Yeah, you are.
Just gonna put it out there. Yeah, kind of a badass.
What you said really spoke to me, because that resonated.
Yeah.
You were meant to lead in a time like this. So let that person who you are in here out. Let that authentic person come out. The world needs that right now, especially right now. The world needs authenticity. The world needs love. The world needs real. We need
to grow up, right? I mean,
yeah,
how to have fun, right? So a grown-up that's going to say, okay, yeah, so you screwed up, and yeah, this sucks, and you know what? All this crap that you just unloaded on me, yeah, that's all really bad. But we can sit here and cry about it and we can sit here and pout over it, and we can make it somebody else's fault, or we can, you know, go pack our things and go to counseling. We can go pack our things and go to rehab. We can go pack our things and go see the bank about clearing up your credit card, you know, problems. We can write a resume and help you find a new job, right? Let's not sit around and cry like overgrown children. Let's woman or man up and let's go kick its ass. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's choose that. Right? Let's choose that. So that's where I am. And so because I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid of what I'm supposed to be. I'm not afraid of who I am. And I don't need to fear anymore, because I just go, I'm just gonna call the big guy, and he's gonna walk me through this. This I got.
That is one of my favorite pillars, faith over fear. Like that's one of the things faith over fear and courage. Like that's near and dear to my heart, because there was a lot of overcoming, a lot of stepping out, and
fear everything and rise. That's what fear stands for. Fear everything and rise.
And not false events appearing real.
Yes.
So fear, like I like to say, fear is a mile wide and it's a mile high, but it's only paper thin. And what happens to paper when you break through it? It's never as strong as it once was. You know, it's just paper thin and you can break through it. And so it can never hold you back again. And that's that mantra that I was talking about for me is, if anything, it went from do one thing every day that scares you to, if there's anything at all that scares you, you need to face it so that nothing can hold you back.
Right.
And I feel like that's what you do. And that's why I admire you.
Oh, well, that's awfully nice of you. It's not easy because, like I said, there are days that I go, you want me to do what?
Right.
Or, you know what? I'll tell you what. I'm tired of this being a one-way street. So I'll tell you what, big guy. I'll do that once this happens. And I barter with them all the time. And I know I'm going to lose, but it makes me feel better. It makes me feel like I have some control. Right. I barter. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm not going there. I'm not going there. Oh, you may. Okay. What's in it for me? And then I hear Becky over here going, it's not about you.
Not you, nothing.
So he's recruited her, and he's just like, you know, I don't even have to answer that question. He just pushes the Becky button, and but yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy to live authentically, because not everybody wants somebody who is that real in the room. So sometimes you have to say goodbye.
No, sometimes you gotta prune yourself to not whack all your branches all over everyone.
Sometimes if you get too many branches, you know, they don't fork right, and all sorts of weird stuff happens.
Yeah. So I want to thank you for this interview. It has been a wonderful interview.
Oh, you're welcome.
Again, it's been an honor to interview you. You're as the first guest on Question Everything and Everyone, because, you know, it's not just everything anymore, it's everyone.
Everyone. And as you should question, you should question the reason why you invite people into your life. You should question the reasons you keep them. And you should always ask the question, does this person belong here?
Yes. Is this still serving me? If not,
yeah,
do away with it. Now, that is a perfect segue to my final question.
Oh, the final question.
Yeah. Can you guess what it is?
No, but is there prize money at the end?
We get to dance afterwards.
I get to dance? All right.
Yeah. So.
All right. Cabbage Patch it is. All right.
We just showed our age.
That's okay. I can do the sprinkler too.
Oh my goodness. All right, so we're gonna do those, but I want you to leave our audience with,
okay,
what is one question that you think, Mia Marzullo, that everyone should be asking themselves?
Do I know my worth?
I'm gonna put that on the screen right here.
Yeah. Do I know my worth? You should know what your value is. And the reason you should know your value is because if people, places, situations, or things don't add to your value, so they don't drive up the value of your emotional bank, but they deplete you, they bankrupt you, they bounce checks that you can't cover, and they're not there helping you to replenish it when you're running on empty or below empty, then that tells you that that person did not know your value. That job did not know your value. That situation did not recognize your value, which means that the only value you had in that situation was to replenish theirs. And it should be balanced. So to your point earlier, there should be balance.
Yes.
Give and take. One carries the load when the other can't walk. What is this? What is the footprints saying? Well, Lord, where were you when I was walking on the beach alone? I wasn't alone. I was carrying you. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So that needs to resonate with your viewers. You need to know your worth. What is my value? And you should be able to write it down, and you should think about it all the time. Because if someone or something doesn't value you, then you're already bankrupt because you've let them.
Ooh. Yeah. I ain't say to hurt them like that. But Shorty can play.
Shorty, don't play.
Full disclosure, I've been trying to figure out what the first one said. I feel like I've seen the picture before. And the whole time I'm thinking, what does that say? What does that say? And as you lean in to tell us this question that is breaking everyone's brains at the moment, I'm pretty sure it's breaking everyone's brains at the moment. Know your worth.
Know your worth.
Shorty, don't play.
Shorty, don't play.
Perfect timing.
See, I'm sitting here. Shorty, don't play.
I see what you did there.
So don't play with your value, right? Don't play with it. Don't look, if you're depleted and you're spent emotionally, physically, spiritually, and the other person or people in the room aren't, one, recognizing it and doing something about it, but two, they're either misinterpreting it or they are frustrated by it and discard you because of it, then they never knew your value, because it was never about you.
Isn't that funny how that works both ways?
Yes. That Becky, she is one smart bad girl for Jesus.
And you know what? Becky didn't even realize how many people she was going to help with that saying to you.
Oh, I'm sure she said it to others, but she just had to say it to me a couple times and like smack me around with it. But yes. And think about it. Some of the most powerful women in the Bible, Esther.
Yeah.
It wasn't about her. Mary, it wasn't about her.
Oh no.
The other Mary definitely wasn't about her.
Yeah.
Right.
What was the other one? Started with an R. Ruth. Yes. Yeah.
Wasn't about them. It's not about you.
That's true.
And yes, it works both ways.
Yes. And it's not about us, but no. I think that we deserve a little dance party.
Oh, okay.
So I just have to give a shout out right now. HypnoSound System.
Oh.
Darren Chorley, as I know him personally. We work together at the Container Store, but this man is a genius when it comes to music. And I asked him, I said, I need a new theme. I need something that's not mine, because it's not about me, right? I need to promote someone else. And he has so much talent, and he's not out there like I believe he should be. So I want us to dance to our new theme. It's called Wake. Are you ready?
Do I have a choice? Probably not. Okay. know my grown children are going, oh my God, she really did that on video. Do these shorty videos ever stop? I'm in therapy over these things my mother puts on video. I really wish she'd stop.
I love it. So what's really funny is there's two reasons I did that. One, because we just got to have a little humor after all of this heavy message.
Heavy messaging.
And the other is because my sister's boyfriend said, "Don't you ever dance on camera again."
Did he really?
Yeah.
Let's do
it. I know he was. I know he's joking, but let's do it. Oh, I don't know what happened, but that was fun.
Oh well, you know what? He just needs to lighten up.
I think that's the thing. He's very light. So one of those. I'm getting him back for his joke.
Got it.
Thank you so much, Mia.
You're welcome, G-Wiz. And I'll tell you what, you keep doing what you're doing because you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So
thank you.
Each one, reach one.
Hey, I like that.
Like it.
Don't mind if I take that one.
You only have to give me credit for it 3 times and then it's yours.
I love it.
Okay, dear. Have a good night.
You as well.
All right. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Mwah.